Hey family, it's Tosh from MAMABEAR Prepping. Don't worry about me. You know, I just like to spill stuff on myself, just make big old messes everywhere. I don't know, just a messy girl. All right, get your drink, pull up. Let's talk about it today. We are going to talk about filtering systems, right? We're doing this whole week. If you haven't paid attention or haven't been here, this whole entire week we're doing water preparedness. Now, yesterday what we did was I hit on water treatment systems, right? Water treatment, the steps to that, kind of the things that you need to be concerned about when it comes to making water safe to drink, okay? So if you did not catch that video, please go back and watch that, because I'm going to kind of do these videos kind of sort of in order, okay, of different things. And I have a bunch of information that we're going to talk about throughout the week as well, okay? So if there's a topic that has to do with water in particular, hit me up and I'll make sure that I try to include it into the video that makes sense. A gentleman asked me, hey, I hope you're going to cover how to make water safe that has radiation in it, right? Fallout type water. I'm going to cover that when on Friday when I talk about sourcing water, okay? So for you, sir, that's when I'm going to cover that topic. Today, talking about filtration and filtering water. Now, one thing I want to say is, remember, filtering is a piece, okay, of the entire process that you want to be doing, right? Water is contaminated until it's not contaminated. It is not safe to drink until it's safe to drink, okay? So if one of those things makes your water safe to drink, meaning you did that thing, you tested it, and your water is safe to drink, then baby, drink it, okay? But if you truly want to make sure that your water is safe, you need to have a way to filter it, you need to be boiling it, and you need to be able to treat it, okay? So in regards to filtering, what filtering does is it's removing the dissolved solids, any kind of impurities, sediment that is left over. Filters go as far as getting rid of odor and tastes and smells. It gets rid of hardiness. So there's different aspects of different filters and what they do, right? And a lot of times people ask me, well, what's the difference, right? I can't afford these expensive Alexa Pure or Berkey filters or these larger watering systems, right? Water filtering systems. But I would say that those are best to have something of large capacity in your home. When I say large capacity, I mean having the ability to filter gallons and gallons, right? It's one thing to have a filter like a filter pitcher, right, in your fridge, or the straw, life straw, but nobody's going around when you need, let's say, a big pot of boiled water to make something, and or you know, and you're sitting there like, what's the straw going to do for you at that point, right? Some folks too, you're gonna might get to the possibility where this is an everyday thing, so you're wanting to filter as much as you can so that you can then store that water, okay? On that note, if you are filtering water and you plan to filter big chunks or amounts of water, and then you're planning to store it, you need to make sure that you are treating it with chlorine, bleach, that type of stuff, for storing it. Water that's stored has to be treated so that it will stay safe. Say you might filter it, you might boil it, you might do those things that make it safe. You test it, it's safe, right? But the minute you go to store it, you need to treat it so that it will stay safe, okay? That was just a little side thing, okay? But with larger filtering system, it gives you the ability to filter more water, okay? Another key thing about larger systems, you guys, that I feel from my experience over the years of having filters is the cost. Now, that's the one thing that people say, well, I can't afford it. But to me, the filters and the amount of gallons that you get from the filters, right, outweigh, you know, those way cheaper filters or pitcher or whatever filters that you have. And then I felt like I was constantly replacing those, right? Those pitcher ones, those smaller filtering systems, constantly changing those filters. They constantly needed to be changed. Sometimes I'd go to the store, I couldn't find them. Another thing is, a lot of them would go out of business. I would get a company, I would get a filter that I liked, right? And then it would go out of business, or I couldn't find the filters. it just was way more effort and time that needs to be spent on this when you have other things to do and you have other things to spend your money. So for me, spending that, front cost to get a nicer system is worth it. 2, you can do it yourself. Homestead Corner has a great video where she physically shows you how to do a homemade do it yourself larger filtering system. You can make them from 5-gallon buckets. You can make them from stainless steel pans. You can make them from several different things, okay? And the most cost for you is probably going to be the drill bit if you already don't have it to make the hole. And then the filters themselves. But really, you can get pretty quality filters these days that are going to do what you need to do, that are not skyrocketing through the roof expensive, okay? And so if you can't get that Alexa Pure, you can't get that Berkey, then fine, baby, build you one, okay? The point behind what I'm saying is you want bigger, because 1, you are replacing filters much farther down the road, okay? Because those filters that you're getting for those are going to filter way more gallons. Let me give you an example of the filters that I have in my Berkey. 2 filters. So the top has black charcoal filters. The bottom has fluoride filters. When we have 2 of those, that's 6,000 gallons of water that those 2 will last, right? Each one is 3,000 gallons, right? The system itself, if you look in it, has 8 holes. So you have the ability to put 8 filters, 8 charcoal on the top and 8, fluoride if you want it in the bottom. And again, you can do any amount in between that. And I love that, because then now that ups it to 24,000 gallons of water, okay? And I'm not replacing that until I've gone through that. So that's crazy good to me, because you're not replacing over and over and over and over. And it's easier to stack up and keep filters, right? Opposed to changing them all the time and possibly not being able to get them, okay? So personally, that's my plug on larger systems. That's not a plug on Berkey. That's not a plug on Alexa Pure. I'm not affiliated with any of them. My plug to you is get you a large system, whether you're going to buy one or whether you're going to make one, get it done. You need to have that, okay? You need to have that ability and that option to filter larger amounts of water, okay? Second thing, so there's different types of filtration, just going down to there's activated carbon, there's ion exchange, there's ROs, there's ultraviolet light type systems, there's do-it-yourself, so you have your natural resource do-it-yourself filtering, bushcraft, if you will, filtering. So we're going to kind of go through that. ROs. I want to talk a lot about ROs, or a little bit about ROs right now. We don't have an RO. We've looked into RO in the past. I had a subscriber yesterday was talking about in the comments, a family member or a friend got sick from the well water and has an RO, and how she has an RO and she loves it, and because she doesn't trust the water anymore. 100% on board with that. ROs too, I hate when people are like, well, stuff's expensive, you can't get that stuff. Well, you can get a decent RO system for a couple $100s, okay? You can get them under the sink, you can get them on the counter, you can get, there's several different stuff out there on the market. You're going to want to do your research. I'm definitely not here today to tell you what filter to buy in your home. On that note, a lot of people in yesterday's video were asking about their 0 filters. Is this filter good? Is that filter good? What I will tell you is there is quality filters. There is a difference in filters depending on what kind it is and what it says it filters. So do your due diligence and see what it filters. What I will tell you though is any filter is a good filter in regards to any filter is better than no filter. Okay. So I don't care if you're filtering through whatever filter, that's better than if you didn't filter at all. Okay. So any kind of filtering is better than nothing. Okay. But start teaching yourself the difference between the different ones and the quality and what stuff you need to test your water, because there might be specific things that you're trying to do and accomplish that a certain filter is going to do for you. Okay. So I'm not here to tell you what kind. But an RO, you know, you have the element piece that you have to replace every couple years, and then you have the filters themselves that you have to replace like every 6 or 7 months. Okay, so again, it's a prep. You do have to do it. That is quite a bit of time though, so I feel like it's the ability to stack that. But again, you have to think about things like grid down. How are these products affected when you have grid down? Can you still use said product? And you know, you have to have a pressurized watering system to be able to use that RO still and be able to have power and stuff. Now, maybe that's a possibility in the way that you prepare your family, and you're going to be good to go. Or maybe this is just, it makes sense to have this prep now while we have running water, right? While we have tap water, go ahead and invest in this and get it safe to drink. And so that is what me and my family are thinking about. We've never had an RO. We talked about it several months ago, but now that I'm doing this topic this week, I'm like, hey, maybe we should invest in an RO system for the house now that we're back at the house, right? So we'll see how that goes. Okay. What else? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about do-it-yourself natural filtration. Okay. We're going to talk about, first of all, we'll talk about do-it-yourself. You just talked a little bit about that. I'm going to link Homestead Corner's video and Just Josh's video. Take a look at those if you're trying to make a system yourself, so that you can kind of see two different people way of doing it. Okay, I think they both did it with pans. I think Alaska Prepper has one as well, if I can find it. He has a lot of videos, so I'll see if I can find his too. I think his was with buckets though. Okay, so I'll see if I can find all 3 videos for you guys and do that. The one thing that I want to plug is, and this is just something that I found out myself over the years doing stuff, is when you're trying to find a filter, right? There's filters all over for all types of things, right? There's house filters. There's filters that you put in, like, you know, the drinking canisters. There's all types of filters. The best way to search the type of filters you need for the do-it-yourself systems is you want to put in, if you're using Amazon, just put in purification element. The reason why is so that all these other just click in type filters don't come up. And when you put purification element in, it actually has the filter that has the screw off top, that has the little buoy part that goes through the hole, and then you screw on the bolt back on, the little nut, okay? And so you need that kind for this type of system that I'm talking about building, okay? And if you start searching for filters and you're not getting those types to come up, so if you search purification element, then you get the right type of filter that you're looking for this type of build. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on that. All right, so natural filtration, typically that is your container. So that could be a plastic bottle, that could be a soda bottle, a water bottle, it could be a 5-gallon bucket. So you have your vessel, right, that you're going to put the water in. You're going to have a cloth, usually just a cotton cloth. Then you're going to have charcoal next. Then you're going to have some sort of sand, and then you're going to have some sort of gravel. That's a hardcore, just very crude. Those 3 you must have, okay? If you're going to do anything, you want to have a variety, and you want to have some charcoal. You want to have your activated charcoal, you want to have your sand of some sort, and then you want to have gravel. Now, you can get way more extensive in that, where you have cloth, you have charcoal, then you have sand, then you have dirt, then you have gravel. And the gravel and sand, you can go even further and say, okay, you're going to have the cloth, you're going to have the charcoal, you're going to have fine sand, you're going to have thicker sand, you're going to have dirt, you're going to have maybe grass. Some people like grass in theirs. I've never been a fan of grass. Indigenous people liked using grass. And then the gravel as well. You could do pea gravel, and then you could do bigger gravel, right? So you can do different levels, but the idea, you get the idea, is that you have several layers that water has to travel through to get clean. Ideally, charcoal, you want to keep that, you know, a lot of people be like, they'll do sand, they'll do dirt, and the dirt and sand and stuff like that, the middle stuff is kind of in different orders. But typically, just for GP, charcoal is always at the bottom, and your biggest rock is always at the top. Okay, you pour the dirty water in, works its way down, and then, you know, obviously you'll have that over the container to catch the water, okay? And that's a crude way of filtering. That's a way to filter in the wild, okay? You're somewhere, I would be filtering that way. You know, hey, if you have a filter stick or whatever, and you just want to get the water, but let me tell you, I'm not taking a filter stick and just drinking from a water source through my filter stick. I'm collecting the water, I'm boiling the water, and at a minimum, if I have the ability to test on the spot, I will, and then possibly drink it through the water filtering straw. Or maybe even using tablets if I have that. But you've got to know what you're doing as far as having the right things with you to be able to make sure that that water's safe to go. If I have none of that stuff and it's like truly the end of the world, and I just have me, myself, and I'm collecting that water and I'm boiling it. And if I happen to have some sort of filtering stick, cool. But if I don't, I'm going to crude filter the water. I'm going to boil the water, and then be on my way. Okay. You want to be able to have a filtering system, and this is the way you do it when you have nothing but yourself, because this stuff you can find around you in the elements, and you can make a makeshift you know, filtering system. Okay. You could take a shirt, tie up the bottom, put this stuff layered up in that shirt and kind of cone it up, pour the water through that way. There's different things you can do. You got to be thinking a little bit creative, but as long as you remember the basics, you need to filter if at all possible. You need to boil if at all possible. You need to treat if at all possible. You need to make the water safe to drink. Okay. And if you have nothing, you need to do everything so that you can really ensure. All right, so that's kind of natural. I had a question yesterday right at the end of the feed. A subscriber, she was asking, you know, hey, is it okay? I have my animals, my chickens and other livestock, they drink from the rain barrel. You know, we're talking about rain barrels on Wednesday, but she was like, is that safe? Is that water safe? Now, I would say that water needs to be treated in some way to make sure that it's safe to drink. I treat animals just like me. I would not want to drink water, rainwater, straight from the from catchment. Now, it's a little different if it's a rain barrel that's out just catching, is a little bit safer than a rain barrel that's catching off of a roof line or a shed or whatever, because you don't know the elements that are up on that roof line, or what kind of not pesticides, what kind of I don't know the word I'm trying to say, what kind of stuff and elements might be on that roof line, paint, other things. Okay. So I would be making sure that at a minimum, I'm filtering it. Now, you can go online. There's all types of things. And now that I'm just like you guys, right? I just got chicks this weekend, and we're going to be setting up the chicken coop and getting the chicken coop ready outside. And part of me is like, okay, she brought up animals. How am I going to do this? So I'm probably going to set up rain barrels for them, some kind of gravity fed. I'm going to probably do a crude 3-bucket filtration system for them, 3 5-gallon buckets stacked on top of each other. The bottom one is activated charcoal, the middle one is sand, and the top one is a gravel. And so that water catchment would go into the water catchment. It would get a crude filter at the top, right, with just the screening to keep like the leaves and bigger debris out. It would work through that rain barrel. It would go through that filtering system into another collection, and I would use that collection for my animals. Now, you know, if things got crazy, well, that's a whole other thing, because it depends on how bad that crazy gets and what exactly is happening in regards to how far are we in making, you know, having to make the drinking water even safer and go another step. But what I'm planning to do is set up that system, and then I'll test it just like we test our water inside, and just to make sure that that's good to go. You know, I love the live chats, because I get information, and her asking that question literally helped me on a project that we are about to start, and made me think, you know, I didn't have livestock before. And so now I'm like, okay, how does this look? How will this work out? Now, in reality, girl, anybody, if you're letting your animals drink the rainwater, you know, there's a big chance right now that, you know, overall statistically, that water is just fine, and they're just fine. Okay, so you know, hopefully you don't take this as, my animals are gonna die because they've been drinking rainwater. No, I just want you to take a minute to remember that there's animals, there's livestock, and as situations change, you might have to change your game plan, and you have to think about their water. And again, if something changes, and keeping their water safe for them. Okay, if you're not testing their water, start testing their water, right? If you're comfortable with the rainwater and it's just an open rain catchment, or you built the structure that the rainwater's coming off and you are very confident that that water coming off is perfectly fine, and they've been drinking it for a decade, baby, who am I to tell you what to do, right? Who am I? Nobody. Okay, so continue to do what you're doing. But what I would say is, think about that aspect and how that changes in the future. One, a lot of things could change because what's happening to the livestock, you know, during the situation that happens, depending on what it is in the first place. Okay, so just something to think about. A lot of people, again, we'll talk about this on rain barrels, but you know, rainwater, you want to treat it, you know, you want to treat it. And if that goes for animals, but even gardens, you know, a lot of people are like, I just catch it in my garden, but it might need a little treatment. Okay, we treat our rainwater as it sits outside, right? Because you want to keep the algae down, you want to keep the mosquitoes down, you want to keep that water as pristine as you can, even if you're only using it to water your garden, because you never know if that barrel is going to become an emergency barrel. Okay, so we got off a little topic and started going a little left, but filtration, I'm going to be setting up a filtration. A lot of farms and homesteads have large filtration catchments that are rain catchments. They filter that, and then that water is then dispersed, you know, out and about for animals, for crops, for watering, whatever the case may be. Okay, so figure out what you're going to do, maybe on a smaller scale. For those of you that is kind of an area that you need to think about. Hopefully, you know, these videos aren't going to get a lot of views this week, you guys. There's something about when I do real videos with real information that people just don't gravitate towards. And I think that the people that do want this information, you're going to get it, hopefully receive it, hopefully it's good. Hopefully, if there's something that you feel like I need to know, you want to share with me, you want to share with the group, that you will find the need to do that in the comments, because people do learn, and there are people that read every single comment because they want to learn everything that they possibly can. So please continue to do that. And we're going to push through this week, regardless of who's watching, okay? Let me know also if there's an area or there's a snippet of information or something specific you're wanting to know about the water world, right? That I can possibly slide into one of these videos this week, okay? So I hope you guys stay well. I'm going to jet because we're about to meet the septic guy to figure out when they're going to start our septic, you guys. We're there. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Bye.